Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC 291, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2, and this card is absolutely stacked with incredible fights. And in the co-main event, we have Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira, and this will be my full breakdown and prediction. I've already done a full card prediction video. I'll link my entire UFC 291 playlist down in the description if you want to go check out any of those videos after this. But I absolutely love this matchup. Alex Pereira making his light heavyweight debut against Jan Blachowicz. And we knew that Alex Pereira was cutting a lot of weight to get down to middleweight. He got KO'd against Israel Adesanya in his last fight, lost the middleweight title, and decides to immediately move up to the light heavyweight division. And he steps in there against a former champ in Jan Blachowicz and a guy who just came off a draw in a vacant title fight in his last fight. So this was already a contender fight, and then this fight got a whole lot more important considering last week Jamal Hill vacated the light heavyweight title. There was some speculation that the UFC might throw the light heavyweight title on the line for this fight. It doesn't appear that that's going to happen considering we're a couple days away from this fight, and I'm so excited for this matchup. But the UFC's done crazier, so maybe they will change it last minute and throw the belt on the line, and they're just negotiating with these guys. But nonetheless, the winner of this fight will be in a very good position in the light heavyweight division, will be in a very good position to contend for that light heavyweight belt next. The winner of this fight may very well be matched up with Jiri Prochazka later this year for that vacant light heavyweight title. So this is a massive fight in the division. And Alex Pereira, he got fast-tracked to the middleweight title. He's being fast-tracked to the light heavyweight title. And I think Jan Blachowicz is a very tough test. But the UFC kind of purposely gave him Jan Blachowicz because even though Jan Blachowicz has some grappling, and we're going to talk about that in this video, but Jan Blachowicz is a striker first. And I think the UFC kind of looked at this matchup and said, you know what? Jan Blachowicz, Alex Pereira, that's a great striking matchup. And Alex Pereira, if he wins this fight, we're going to throw him right into a title fight. And I think Alex Pereira is a massively promotable fighter. I mean, even though he doesn't have like a crazy personality, the way the guy just fights, I mean, and he is gigantic. He looks so big against Israel Adesanya and the nuclear power that he has in his left hand. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch in the UFC. And if he gets to the 205 belt and let's say he wins it, what a story that would be. The trilogy in MMA, Alex Pereira defending his light heavyweight title against Israel Adesanya as Israel Adesanya attempts to become double champion. So I'm already thinking about all these future possibilities. But first, Alex Pereira has to get by old man Jan Blachowicz, and that's not going to be an easy task. Now, if you look at the tail of the tape for this fight, you have Jan Blachowicz, who's 29-9-1. You have Alex Pereira, who's 7-2. Jan Blachowicz is ranked number 3. Alex Pereira ranked number 2 in the middleweight division. Jan Blachowicz is 40. Alex Pereira is 36. Blachowicz is 6'2". Pereira is 6'4". Blachowicz has a 78-inch reach, and Pereira has an 80-inch reach. So a 2-inch height and reach advantage for Alex Pereira, which is surprising, moving up in weight and still having the height and reach advantage. So if you look at Alex Pereira, of his 7 pro MMA wins, 6 wins by knockout, 1 by decision. Of his 2 losses, once by knockout and 1 by submission. And it's just crazy to me he only has 9 pro MMA fights. But he does have that long kickboxing history where, I mean, he just has 33 wins, 21 KOs, 7 losses, 2 KOs. He fought Israel Adesanya twice in kickboxing. You guys know the story. But he came to the UFC after only having 4 fights, and he fought Andreas Michailidis at UFC 268, got out-grappled in the first round. Then in the second round, lands a flying knee KO. Then his next fight, he's matched up with Bruno Silva. Actually a competitive fight, primarily contested on the feet. Bruno Silva mixed in some clinch, but this was actually a competitive fight. I did not expect it to be that competitive. Then his next fight, he took on Sean Strickland. He went from unranked to fighting a guy ranked in the top 10 and brutally KO'd Sean Strickland in the first round to earn a title shot against Israel Adesanya. He fights Israel Adesanya in November of last year, and what a fight this was. This was a great fight. It was super competitive. Alex Pereira almost gets KO'd at the end of round 1, comes back and wins round 2, then gets out-grappled in round 3, loses round 4 on the feet, and then in round 5, he knows he's down on the judges' scorecards. and he just goes after Israel Adesanya and gets a standing TKO. Unbelievable win for Alex Pereira to go in and take out Israel Adesanya in the 5th round after losing the fight and getting out grappled, and he knew he was down on the scorecards. Unbelievable performance. They have the rematch at UFC 287, which wasn't that long ago, only April 8th, 2023. So not that long ago. That's crazy to me. And he gets brutally KO'd by Israel Adesanya in the 2nd round. Gets a bit overconfident. Starts looking for the finish. Starts swarming Israel Adesanya up against the fence. Israel Adesanya is an excellent counter striker, and Israel Adesanya made him pay for it. Clipped him with a right hand, brutally slapped him. I think he landed a jab, then 2 right hands, and then just landed another shot on the way down, and then a hammer fist. It was an absolute brutal KO. He was out cold, sleeping, stiff. And the reason I bring this up is I don't like the quick turnaround. I don't like the quick turnaround. The fact that you're fighting April 8th, and now you're fighting just in late July. That's craziness to me. Just 3 months? 3 months, that's it. A little over 3 months. That is crazy to me, but that's his short MMA career, only 9 fights. You look at Jan Blachowicz, 29 pro MMA wins, 9 by knockout, 9 by submission, 11 by decision. Of his 9 losses, twice by knockout, twice by submission, and 5 by decision. Jan Blachowicz has been around forever, and he had a bit of a career resurgence. At one point, he had lost 4 out of 5. He lost to Jimmy Manuwa. He lost to Corey Anderson. He got a win, then he lost to Gustafsson. Then he lost to Patrick Cummings. He lost to Patrick Cummings in 2017. And at that point in time, he lost 4 out of 5. He gets a win against Devin Clark. Then he gets a win against Jared Cannonier. Then he gets a win against Jamie Manuwa. Then he gets a win over Nikita Krylov. Then he loses to Thiago Santos. Then he beats Luke Rockhold. Was basically a career resurgence because he KOs Luke Rockhold. Most people expected Luke Rockhold to easily win that fight. Then he beats Jacare Souza. People thought Jacare Souza was going to win that fight. Then he KOs Corey Anderson. People thought Corey Anderson was going to win that fight. And then John Jones relinquishes the belt. We're thinking we're going to get John Jones, Jan Blachowicz. John Jones relinquishes the belt. And then he gets matched up with Dominic Reyes for the vacant light heavyweight title. And everyone thought Dominic Reyes just had a close fight with John Jones. He's going to beat the brakes off of Jan Blachowicz. I picked Dominic Reyes. Jan Blachowicz went out there and beat the brakes off him. Brutalized his body with kicks, was lighting him up on the feet, eventually finishes him in the 2nd round. And honestly, he ended Dominic Reyes' career at UFC 253. Incredible performance to win the title. And what a career resurgence. And then he goes on to fight Israel Adesanya in his next fight, in his first title defense, because Israel Adesanya, I believe, saw Jan Blachowicz and he said, this is the most winnable matchup I'm ever going to get in the light heavyweight division. This is my opportunity to become double champ. He moves up. Nobody was even picking Jan in that fight. Most people were picking Israel Adesanya. I picked Jan Blachowicz in that fight. Jan Blachowicz not only won a lot of exchanges on the feet, then later in the fight, uses his grappling, out-grapples Israel Adesanya, wins the decision. And this was a great performance. And the commentary of that fight was just so egregious and terrible, acting like Israel Adesanya was winning based off of feints. But that's besides the point. Jan Blachowicz gets the win there. And then he loses to Glover Teixeira. I think this might have been an off night for him. He looked terrible in this fight. He got clipped by Glover in the 1st round. And then basically after that, he just really gets out-grappled for the majority of the rest of the fight. Got taken down in the 2nd round. Basically gave up his back immediately. Gets rear naked choked. Then he fights Alexander Rakic. And it looks like, okay, Rakic is going to be the guy to come in here and, begin the decline even more for Jan Blachowicz because he's getting up there in age. He beats Alexander Rakic. I know there was kind of a weird injury, but I think it had to do with the leg kick checks and the leg kicks of Jan Blachowicz. And then in his last fight, fought Magomed Ankalaev. It ended up being a split draw. This was back in December for the vacant light heavyweight title. Jan Blachowicz brutalized his legs. And Magomed Ankalaev, credit to him, he made adjustments, was able to get takedowns later in the fight, got a 10-8 in the 5th round. One of those first rounds could have went to Ankalaev. You could make the argument for Ankalaev. I think the draw was the right decision. And Blachowicz just chewed up his legs. And Magomed Ankalaev, most people were picking Ankalaev in that fight. And now he's fighting Alex Pereira. And I think this is a matchup Jan Blachowicz actually asked for. And what a matchup this is. I am so interested to see how the leg kick battle plays out in this fight. And I almost wish this fight was 5 rounds. It's 3 rounds. I wish it was 5 rounds. This would be an amazing 5-round matchup. I think this is going to be a great striking matchup. When I look at this matchup, I really think both guys can really win, a multitude of ways. I think Jan Blachowicz can win by KO, TKO. I think Jan Blachowicz could get a submission victory in this fight and really surprise a lot of people. I also think Jan could win a decision. For Alex Pereira, I don't think he's going to get a submission, but I think he can win via KO, obviously, that nuclear left hand. And also, I think he could outstrike Jan Blachowicz to a decision if he fights smart. But this is a very tough matchup in your first fight at light heavyweight. Jan Blachowicz is big, and Alex Pereira at middleweight relied on that massive size advantage. And also, for Alex Pereira, his best weapon is his leg kicks. And I think he'll still be able to use his leg kicks in this fight. But Jan Blachowicz, some of the best leg kick checks I've seen in MMA. And also, he lands some of the best leg kicks in MMA himself. They're not as fast. They're not as disguised as Alex Pereira's. But the way he throws them, he just doesn't care. Jan Blachowicz will go shin to shin. He'll try to kick through both your legs. It would not shock me if one of these days Jan Blachowicz just throws a nasty leg kick and breaks somebody's leg if he continues to fight for the next couple years. That's how heavy he's throwing leg kicks. Where Alex Pereira does a lot of damage with his leg kicks, but they're so quick and they're so not even telegraphed that maybe Alex Pereira is able to get out of the way of Jan Blachowicz's kicks, because Alex Pereira definitely has a speed advantage in this fight. But honestly, what I see in this fight, I think one of these guys gets a KO or TKO. And for my official prediction, I am going Jan Blachowicz second round KO. I think Alex Pereira is coming back too soon. I think he's coming back too soon. He just got KO'd a little over 3 months ago. And I just think coming back against Jan Blachowicz has very good striking. He's nowhere near as fast as Alex Pereira, and he doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing as Alex Pereira. But guess what? He has that legendary Polish power. He can knock anyone out. And then on top of that, he has amazing leg kicks and amazing at checking leg kicks as well. And also, to top that all off, he has the grappling in his back pocket. Jan Blachowicz, we saw him go out there and out-grapple Israel Adesanya. I know Jan Blachowicz isn't known for his offensive grappling, but guess what? When Israel Adesanya took Alex Pereira down in their first MMA fight, Israel Adesanya looked like Khabib Nurmagomedov. He had wrist control. Pereira couldn't get back to his feet. So if Jan Blachowicz gets Alex Pereira down, I don't think Pereira can get up, because Jan Blachowicz is much bigger than Israel Adesanya. He's much bigger than Andreas Michailidis. And Alex Pereira was having trouble with their grappling. I know he's going up in weight. I know he's going to be bigger. I know he has decent takedown defense, and he's digging underhooks, and he's got these long arms, and he's got the 2-inch reach advantage and the 2-inch height advantage. And I know Jan isn't this crazy offensive grappler, but that's not the point. Jan Blachowicz has that in his back pocket. And I can see Jan Blachowicz mixing in the takedown attempts, mixing in the clinch work. And Jan Blachowicz, people forget, when he fought Luke Rockhold, they were in close. I think they were in like a clinch exchange. I think Luke clinched up with him. I don't remember exactly. But Jan has power in like tight spaces. So don't be surprised if maybe like Pereira defends a takedown, Jan comes up and they're like almost chest to chest, and then Jan lands a nasty hook and KOs Alex Pereira. Because Alex Pereira is coming off that crazy KO against Israel Adesanya. I don't know if his chin's recovered. Now, there is the argument to be said, does his chin, have some benefits by going up in weight to 205 pounds? That may be true. And I definitely think Alex Pereira has a speed advantage. But I think you look at Jan Blachowicz, I think he's a sneaky good striker. I think a lot of people don't realize how good Jan Blachowicz's striking is. He has unbelievable power, and he has great leg kicks. And I just think Alex Pereira, because the path he had to the middleweight title, and because he went out there and dethroned Israel Adesanya, I think people are overrating him a bit. I think Alex Pereira is crazy overrated. But if he's able to keep it standing, I think Alex Pereira can win this fight by decision or KO himself. Jan Blachowicz isn't what he once was. He has started to slow down. He's 40 years old. But I just don't think, with all those skills that Jan Blachowicz possesses, Alex Pereira, he's going to be worried about the grappling. He's going to be worried about the leg kicks. And I know, he'll be able to check some of his own and land some of his own. And I think both guys are going to be chopping each other's legs. But one thing Israel Adesanya did in their fight, he landed a lot of hard body kicks to Alex Pereira. And guess what? Jan Blachowicz has incredible body kicks as well. He brutalized the body of Dominic Reyes. We see him throw hard, powerful body kicks over and over and over again. And I just think Jan Blachowicz is a terrible matchup for Alex Pereira, even though I think it's one of the better matchups for Alex Pereira in the light heavyweight division. And maybe Jan doesn't try to grapple at all. Maybe Jan just tries to point fight with Alex Pereira and look for a KO that way. And maybe Pereira ends up KOing him because of it. But I just think Jan Blachowicz, he'll be able to check some of those kicks. He'll be able to land some kicks of his own. And if anybody has the most conditioned legs in MMA, it's probably Jan Blachowicz. This guy doesn't even seem to be affected by any checks of other fighters. You know, Magomed Ankalaev was turning his shin in, wasn't even affecting Jan. He was throwing it over and over and over again. Adesanya was landing good leg kicks on Pereira. Don't get me wrong. Again, Pereira's going to land good kicks of his own, but that's his best weapon. And I feel like Jan Blachowicz can neutralize those leg kicks. And then Jan Blachowicz just has to worry about that left hook. He has to worry about the left hook. Meanwhile, Pereira has to worry about the leg kicks, Jan checking the kicks, the body kicks, Jan's power as well, the clinch, and the takedown threat. He has to worry about all that. And, you know, it's not even a 5-round fight, so it's not like, you know, either one of these guys really have to worry about their stamina. But if Jan Blachowicz, let's say he goes out there from start to finish and looks to grapple, I could see Alex Pereira starting to slow down in the late second round, early third round because of the grappling. Now, I don't know that Jan Blachowicz is going to implement that strategy, but I just think Jan Blachowicz is too well-rounded in this fight. He will mix in the grappling. He will mix in the clinch. He'll be using his leg kicks effectively as well, and he'll eat Alex Pereira's leg kicks. And I think Jan Blachowicz will just eat them, and you won't see as big of a reaction from Jan Blachowicz. And I think ultimately, because of that threat of the takedown, because of the fact that Jan's abusing the body and also has that power to worry about, Alex Pereira has too much to worry about in this fight. And I think in the second round, you're going to see Jan Blachowicz land a big shot and brutally sleep Alex Pereira out cold. I think the first round, you're going to see a very tentative, you know, Jan Blachowicz, and I think you're going to see kind of a tentative Alex Pereira as well. I don't think he's going to get carried away and look for a finish. But I think Jan Blachowicz mixes in some of those shots in the first round. Maybe he gets him down for a little bit, controls him, you know, maybe like the last minute of the round after they strike for like the first 3 or 4 minutes. And then in the second round, Pereira's going to be like, all right, I got to be on the lookout for these takedowns. I can't get taken down again because I maybe lost that round based on the takedown. And that's when Jan Blachowicz is going to find a big shot with his punches. And I think he's going to sleep Alex Pereira out cold badly. And Alex Pereira's light heavyweight debut is going to be spoiled by 40-year-old Jan Blachowicz. But yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. Jan Blachowicz gets it done. Second round KO. Sleeps Alex Pereira stiff. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. What's your prediction for this fight? Don't forget to check out the rest of my UFC 291 content. I'll link the playlist down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you in the next video.